That's the way I see it.
That's where I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way you see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's the way I see it.
That's why I see it.
Welcome to this episode of The Way I See It. I'm your host, Austin Darga. On today's episode, I'll be talking to a local and very powerful disability advocate who's paving the way for diversity, equity, and inclusion and teaching others to do the same. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to have on the podcast today Rhonda Estes. Rhonda is a retired teacher and lifelong advocate for people with disabilities, helping to build stronger and more inclusive communities. Throughout her career, she has dedicated herself by serving on boards such as the Community Parent Advisory Committee, otherwise known as CPAC, as well as the Michigan Governor's Commission on Disability Concerns with Jennifer Granholm, who was governor in the early 2000s. Rhonda, welcome to The Way I See It. Glad to have you.
Well, thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Awesome. Well, you know, Rhonda, we absolutely love our fellow disability advocates here on the program, and you've been one now for many years. So with that being said, tell us where that heart for advocacy first began. Was there a certain person or experience that has inspired you and set you on this path?
Oh, yes. I don't have to go back very far to think about that. Yeah, my son, Vincent Elliott Estes. Yes, when, we had a car accident back in 1979, and Vincent was severely impaired from that car accident. And he was only 7.5 months old at the time. So from that point on, it was part of my life. I just became an advocate for him. And then at the same time, by advocating for my own son and my own family, I became an advocate for everyone else.
Wow. Well, they say, well, and not just anybody, society in general, but even me, in my personal opinion, I think that the best way to learn true life lessons is through natural experience. I mean, no book or classroom can really ever teach you like real life and how to be a strong person, especially from those types of experiences.
That's very true. I mean, you can read every book, the entire encyclopedia, and you're not going to learn enough. It's when you walk in the shoes of someone else, and hopefully you gain a lot of wisdom as you're going through these experiences.
Oh, absolutely. It's the best way because it's those types of things that really shape us into the person we are. And even though some of them may be either tragic or just traumatic, I know what that type of stuff is like through personal experience as well. But if you really dig deep down and put your mind to it and really feel what someone else is going through, it can make you a stronger person. Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond, I think his best line from that show is you know, sometimes it's harder to watch the person in pain than it is to be the person in pain. But it doesn't just have to be, you know, a painful experience. I mean, anybody that you're around, no matter what kind of interesting, unique lives they have and different things that they have going on, when you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, then you really have a good image in your mind of what they've gone through because you've seen it and experienced it from being around them, but also how you can be a better person and really change the world as well.
That's right. And it's all through personal experiences.
Absolutely. You're saying, from what I'm gathering from him, he's really been an inspiration. An inspiration and a great influence on your life through all that. Wow, that's really awesome.
I'm a changed person because of him. Because of my son, because of our experiences. I think it's made me a better person. He was my teacher. Vincent passed away this past October. I don't think you were aware of that. But he was almost 47 years old. Mm-hmm. And he's always been an inspiration to myself, my family, my friends, anyone who'd ever met him. He inspired them. He had no language. He was a quadriplegic. He had many, many needs. He lived in a group home for like 27 years. Mm-hmm. But everyone that met him was inspired by him. And so it's inevitable that I would be changed through those experiences and through having the car accident. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I wouldn't want it to happen to us again. I wouldn't have wanted it to begin with. But it was like this was our mission. This was my mission in life. This ended up being Vincent's mission in life. It's unfathomable. Our universe is so mysterious. You don't know why things happen, but you can make it for the best, for the better. And so you can improve your life. You can improve the individual's life. You can improve your family, your friends, and society through our experiences.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you anymore. And it's those moments that can truly make you who you are. And you can look back on them and be like, oh, okay, I can either be the victim or I can learn a true life lesson from this and figure out what I can do to help other people from those types of experiences and share what I've learned from it and make things better for society as well. And
absolutely.
And that's what I think we all really need to look at is if you're facing a hard time or if there was a certain experience that was really unique in your life, then you should look back on it and be like, okay, where am I going to go with this moving forward?
Exactly.
How can I truly make a difference and an impact from this? Absolutely,
and
totally.
So what you have to do is you have to, instead of becoming a victim, you have to be a victor. And so Vincent was a victor. I am a victor. So it's that's what you turn that frown upside down into a smile. And Vincent had a type of smile that would light up a room. And through him, I became that advocate. So I was able to advocate for other people through the educational system, through the parent advisory committee, through special ed, so that I was a voice. Vincent didn't have his own voice, so I could be his voice.
Wow. Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say I'm real sorry for your loss, but
Thank you.
But it's people in moments like that can truly touch you. Absolutely. I totally understand that. With that, you have definitely done some really amazing things because of him. One of them happens to be CPAC, which you were a board member on, and I want to get into that a little bit. So we mentioned a little bit of it in the beginning, but could you tell us exactly what CPAC is and the role they play in the community?
Yes, it's been many, many years since I was on that committee. Mm-hmm. But Parent Advisory Committee is, as it in the title, you are advising, you are advisors. It was a committee made up of all parents of children with disabilities. And so we were asked to be on this committee. Linda Fink, I believe, she was one of the first assistant directors of special education that I was dealing with personally. And so I was asked to be on this committee. I was president for a while as well. And it's not like a board of directors. A board of directors, you have a vote, you have decision making, but with an advisory committee, you are advising. And so this is made up of all these parents who have all these life experiences with their child who has a disability. And you are able to advise the special ed department and say, okay, this is what we've been experiencing in the classroom with my child. This is what we want to carry on these experiences and have other people benefit from our experiences and our expertise.
Wow. So it's all about coming together. You're coming together to build a stronger and better community, which is what we should all be about. So what kind of things have you done any things specific that was kind of an interesting memory to you that you guys have done? Like, have you ever hosted any events, or were there any decisions not really decisions, but anything that you've done that has made you look back and felt really good about?
Boy, that was so long ago. It was the interactions that you had with the other parents. Was the friendship and development, so that you had this camaraderie within this group and you were not alone. So you were involved with this committee with all these other parents who have a myriad of different issues with their children, whether it would be emotional impairment, or if it was with Vincent from the other end of the spectrum, with his severely mentally impaired, multiply impaired disabilities. So you have someone with a learning disability, but we all were connected, and so that we had that camaraderie within the group, and it was so helpful, and we had that support. So you knew that if you had an issue and you wanted to bring up this particular issue, you had that support from the family, the additional families that were part of this organization, plus you had the support of the special education department. So you had the director, the assistant director, you had the teachers, and you were a leader. So they would listen to you because of the fact that you were in a leadership position. And it was very helpful in that regard. So you had that group that built your strength and your, just all in general, it just lifted you up.
Oh, absolutely. Not only are you a part of a group of people that are sharing very similar connections that you are, but together you're actually learning more about each other and learning all about how we can be real, true leaders in your local communities and showing other people, well, hey, you can really do the same. Everybody's different. Everybody has their own type of situation, whether you have a disability, whether it's your ethnicity, race, no matter what it is, everybody comes from all different walks of life.
That's
and
right.
That's kind of the main point that everybody, I think, should get from this.
Absolutely,
I feel like almost every time I go back to that Martin Luther King moment, because he's somebody who I've mentioned several times on the podcast, who I'm truly inspired by. That's
right. And he literally put his life on the line for this. Now, with me, I was benefited by the fact that there were people ahead of me. There were people that had started the ARC program, that was the Association for Retarded Citizens. And of course, the name retarded, has changed over the years, so that's...
Thank God.
That's right. And so, but with the ARC, it was beautiful. Before I moved to Traverse City in 1987, I was active in the special education realms down in the Plymouth-Canton area. And just meeting those people down there, I found out that those people had already, for a generation ahead of me, had already paved the way. They had already petitioned the government for, like the accessibility in their communities and inclusion. It hadn't yet made it to the degree that it is today, and even in the 90s. But those people were the pioneers, and they were the ones that began the advocacy, and they were promoting their own children and their own families with disabilities so that they would have the same opportunities as everyone else.
Wow, that's really excellent. And so you already had people doing that, and then the next generation came along, which I think is just absolutely, truly impressive. And I think it should continue to be that way. And so...
Yes, and the important thing is, because you've got those people that paved the way before us, then we continued on that path. Now it's important for the rest of the community and the people who... We need them to continue on this path as well.
Absolutely.
Because you can't sit back on your laurels and figure, okay, well, this has already been done. We've already got inclusion in the classroom. We've already got all these things. Well, it can be taken away as fast as, you gained it.
Yeah.
And so you have to keep working, and you have to keep applying yourself, and you have to keep trying to improve our community. You can't sit back and just say, okay, it's already been done. Somebody did the job before I did, so now I can just sit back and rest. Well, with me, I'm 75 years old, so, I don't have the energy that I used to have. So I'm hoping that someone will take the ball and run with it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. The world does not stop just because somebody said something or has done something to make a difference. Anything can happen at any given time, day or night. And so what we need to do as a whole is continue to encourage the next generation and the next generation after that to move forward with whatever legacy was first laid out in front of the world and be like, okay, this is what has already been done. What are we going to do to make sure that it continues to happen in order for it to continue moving in the right positive direction that it needs to?
Mm-hmm. That's right. We're not a utopia. The society, you don't have a situation where it's utopic. There are always going to be people in need. There are always going to be needs in our community. You have to reach out and you have to be available to help others, no matter what. That's just the way life goes. Nothing is perfect. I'm far from perfect. I like to think I'm perfect, but I'm not. But
so am I. Yeah, I think we're all like that. That's what,
I have a saying, and my friends go along with this, almost perfect, but not quite. It's a Shel Silverstein.
That's a good way to put that. Yeah.
Almost perfect, but not quite.
Sure. You're listening to The Way I See It. We're talking with disability advocate Rhonda Estes. Stay tuned for more with her after this. Hey podcast listeners, this is Austin Darga, your host of The Way I See It. 2026 has been a great year so far for the show, as we are now in our third season and have over 200 subscribers. Our goal by the end of the year is to have 1,000, so whether you watch on YouTube or any of the podcast platforms, be sure to click that subscribe button and tell all your friends and neighbors about us. Let's get back to the program now with Rhonda Estes. You have definitely worn many hats throughout the years and throughout your career, from being a disability advocate to being on boards such as the Zonta Club and the Botanical Gardens. And even though these are all completely different parts of your career, what would you say is the common thread that has connected all of these to your life?
Service. They all involve service.
Sure.
The Botanic Garden at Historic Barnes Park. They have 3 missions. One is providing a beautiful place for people to come. The other is education. And the other is reuse of our resources. I guess I'm a resource and I'm being used by being a mouthpiece for this. I'm just being a voice. Zonta Club of Traverse City is part of Zonta Club International. It's a worldwide organization. And again, one of their missions is education, and the other is outreach, and it's service. So that our goal is to improve the lives of women and children around the world and in our community. And it's the same with me being an advocate. I was a puppeteer for 20 years. I was reaching out and trying to educate children in second and third grades about their disabled peers. So the peers in their classroom that might have cerebral palsy or might be visually impaired or hearing impaired, I educated these children in a fun, uplifting way. And so that's the connecting, this current that is there. It's service, it's outreach, it's education. All of these organizations do the same thing.
Wow. Well, I think service is definitely the key word there because, just doing something like that, that's the best thing that I've heard all week. I think it is really important, especially for young children to learn and know and understand what somebody else may go through on a daily basis, because kids, as painful it is for me to say, you know, can be cruel. And sometimes even when they're not cruel, you know, they may have good intentions, but at the end of the day, they're just not educated enough.
Exactly.
And so we need to do our part to show them, you know, especially if they have a peer in their class who is different than they are, we have to show them, okay, you know, this is how they navigate life on a daily basis. And it's not a bad thing. They're just different than you are. So,
That's
you know,
right.
you might see them use some adaptive tools like a speech device, for example, or you might see somebody with a cane like myself, or somebody who's in a wheelchair. And even though you might come across that, it doesn't mean that you have to treat them or speak to them any different. I mean, they're the same as you are. They just do things a little bit differently because of the needs and supports that they have, but they're still able to be functional parts of society and get through the day. So just be a kind, loyal friend and peer.
Kindness, yes,
absolutely. Say hello to them like you would anybody else when you see them going through the halls of work or school, or sitting in your classroom, or sitting in the same office. Absolutely. Or out at a restaurant, out at a store, no matter where.
And you know, with some children, it comes naturally. They are just, in their heart, in their soul, they are just very understanding. But in many, many cases, they're apprehensive because they don't understand. And through understanding, it gains your acceptance. You can accept people if you can understand where they're coming from, why they look the way they do, why they act the way they do, why they sound the way they do.
Yeah.
But you have to educate them, many of these kids, because it doesn't come natural.
Right.
And then they always hear, don't stare. Okay, don't stare. Well, if they understand, they can come up to you and they can say hello, and they're not staring and they're not questioning. They're curious to begin with, right? But if they understand and you've taught them to be understanding, and you teach them the differences that all these people have, then you can accept it and you can treat them just like everybody else.
Wow. You know, I kind of feel like that we should take what you said as like a social media post for this podcast episode, because you absolutely hit the nail on the head on that. It goes back to the golden rule of treat others and everybody else the way that you want to be treated. You know, just say, you know, hey, you know, good to see you today. You know, have a nice weekend.
Could I tell you a little story?
Absolutely.
Okay. When I was at one of the local department stores with Vincent, and we were ready to check out. And, you know, you get the stares. You know, he was in his big wheelchair. And yes, Vincent would drool because he didn't have the use of his muscles that he could swallow. And so people would stare and children would stare. Well, I was feeling uneasy that particular day. I didn't have a real good attitude myself. And I had to go through this line at checkout. And I thought, oh no, here's a family. And the children are staring. They're turning around. They're looking. And we had to wheel right up there to the cashier. And I thought, okay, here we go again. And so when we pulled into that, you know, we just moved up in line, and one of the children turned around. She was over talking to her mother. She came over back to us. She came up to Vincent and said hello. And I was stunned. I was ready for the worst. Okay. And I was just feeling very uncomfortable and talking, just having this little girl come and say hello. Then her mother came over and her other sibling came over. They never had met Vincent before in their lives, and they were saying hello, and they were closing that gap. And it turned out that the mother had educated them on people with disabilities to make them feel comfortable and to make that individual with a disability feel comfortable. And it started with the mother, started with the family. And she carried this on and educated her children. And then they brought that beauty and that camaraderie and that friendship to us. And that I thought, why in the world was I feeling so ill at ease, so uncomfortable? And these people were already prepared to make me feel more comfortable, to make Vincent feel more comfortable. It was just beautiful. And then another incident, I wasn't there. Vincent's, one of his caregivers from his group home had brought him to, again, one of the big department stores, and they were coming through the line. My friend, her Mary Jo, I'm mentioning Mary Jo, she's just an amazing person. She saw a person in a wheelchair, and then she looked. She realized it was Vincent. She came up to Vincent and said, Vincent, hello, it's so good to see you. Vincent lit up all over. He smiled and he went, oh, and the cashier started crying.
Wow.
She had tears in her eyes and she said to Mary Jo, I didn't know he was a real person. I didn't know there was someone in there that he would understand things. And that was a learning and a teaching moment for this woman. She learned, Mary Jo and Vincent taught her. It's incredible. It's just, so you start out with understanding.
Yeah.
Then you lead into acceptance. And then from the acceptance, you learn to include. So you have the inclusion that follows.
Yes, absolutely. Wholeheartedly. I mean, that story right there, really, really touched me. I think, is one of the most powerful stories that we've had here on the podcast. And, word to the wise out there, next generation parents, this is a really good moment for you to pay attention. If you're just becoming a new parent or you're raising really young kids right now, I think the best thing that you could teach them and guide them towards a successful future is understanding. When you take them out and about, teach them that they are going to see different people out there, and it's good for them to be out as much as possible and have as much experience and exposure, so that way they truly do get that understanding. The more people we have like that, it's definitely going to build a equity for the world.
Yes, and if parents don't feel comfortable doing it themselves, they can't find the words, they don't have the life experiences to be able to help their children understand, there's a myriad of books in the library. There's Maya. She has a dog that was born with 3 paws, and Maya has cerebral palsy from birth. Mm-hmm. And it's wonderful. There's a couple of books about Maya, and she's local, right in Traverse City area. And there's books like that the kids can check out from the library. They're beautiful stories that enlighten children on understanding their peers with disabilities.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first, I would say, have some real life experience first, but then that would definitely be a great thing, for taking your kids to the library and looking at books together. I mean, find books that have real, true life stories in them, especially when it comes to that.
That's right.
There's tons of people out there who really are making a difference. I think we have some time left, so people like myself, people here at my company, and even other people on social media and even television. I mean, I could share with you a quick little story about some reality TV stars who are really showing everybody some of the challenges they are overcoming on a daily basis, and they're just learning to become independent adults now. They're getting ready to get their lives together. One is a young lady named Balin Dupree. She's really big on social media, and she also has her own TV show called Balin Out Loud. She has Tourette's syndrome, and
yes, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and she's getting ready to. I've been following her every week, and she's getting ready to get married and get her life together as a person with that condition. Another couple who I absolutely think are just absolutely adorably cute. They both have dwarfism as well as a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, which is a brittle bone disease that has affected their muscles in their legs. So they're both in wheelchairs. Their names are Jay and Pamela, and they're TV stars just like Balin. And I think all three of them are really truly getting out there and showing other people what they're made of, what they're capable of, the challenges that they've overcome, and the dreams and goals that they have for themselves in the future. And I think people like that are just absolutely inspiring because they are really showing and teaching people you can do anything if you just put your mind to it.
That's right. Well, just look at you. I mean, you've got your own podcast. You are very impressive. And just to see what you've accomplished, you could be on TV. You could have your own TV show.
Sure.
You're very well spoken, and you've got all of this ambition. You're very impressive.
Oh, thank you so much. And the cool thing, going back to Jay and Pamela, is that I just learned this about Jay the other day. They're both married now, and Jay is a music producer on the internet, which I found really fascinating about him. I mean, you can learn all sorts of different things about people that you already know, but that you've never known about before. And so he's many producer on the internet. So I'd encourage anyone to maybe go online, check out his music beats, and just learn more about all three of them. I mean, they're just amazing folks, just like your son Vincent and everybody else out there that are making an impact.
Yep, every little pebble that goes into the pond and all those rings that the pebble creates, and those rings keep reaching out and going further and further. And so it's just it's a wonderful thing, and we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely. And making a learning curve is a result in having a chain reaction. So
that's right.
And so before we wrap up here, is there any final word of advice that you have for anyone out there with a disability, or just people in general, that you really want them to take away from?
Keep learning. Keep your chin up. Keep your self-image. Just keep it up there. You're beautiful. Just remember that the things that you do have an impact on others that you have no comprehension of. These random acts of kindness that come from you, and as you're reaching out to other people, you have no idea the impact that you're making on other people. So keep your chin up, be happy, be kind, and just be yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. And I think that's, the perfect way to conclude this, because we all can do something no matter what it is. It's just all about the attitude that you have and the mindset that you have. And if you just look at things the right way, who knows what you can accomplish. I mean, there's a whole world out there that can just open a big door for you, and you just have to chase it, grasp it, and go after it. And,
that's right. And you just reminded me way back 30 years ago or so, with the CPAC, we had a motto, and it was "Attitude is everything." Wow. And it really is. We had sweatshirts. I've still got my sweatshirt. I still have the mug with "Attitude is everything." And the interesting thing is, I had kind of forgotten about that little motto. And my husband, every now and then, reminds me. He said, "That's you, Rhonda. That's attitude is everything. And you keep that positive attitude, you can accomplish anything."
Oh, absolutely. And my parents have both done some amazing community things over the year. My mother, for example, was also a part of CPAC as well, and she was also.
I remember Sharon.
Yep, and she was also a part of the NFB, which is the National Federation for the Blind and Parents of Blind Children of Michigan, and that's just some type of connection that we're all building.
That's right. We're all doing our part.
We just continue to do that in the future, and the world will be a much better place. And with that being said, I want to thank you so much, and say keep doing what you're doing. Keep up the good work, no matter what it is. Just continue moving forward, Rhonda, every day. You've done some amazing work, and we can't thank you enough.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you very much, Austin. I appreciate you wanting to talk to me to begin with. Just a little old lady.
Oh, no. Remember, attitude is everything.
That's right. Attitude is everything. I am not an old lady.
Absolutely. We're all young. We're all young at heart. We're all still kids at heart, and we all have experiences to share with the world.
As my mother used to say, I'm still kicking, just not very high, but I'm still kicking.
Absolutely. And that's the part that we need to look at
the
most is the still kicking part.
That's
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you very much, Austin.
You're very welcome, and thank you as well for being on The Way I See It. Thank you for listening to The Way I See It. This podcast is brought to you by Grand Traverse Industries, a Northern Michigan nonprofit whose mission is to fiercely advocate, strengthen, and advance the dignity and opportunity of people with disabilities. Our theme is composed by Nick Vane, and our producer is Micah Haven. We hope you'll join us for our next episode, but in the meantime, this is Austin Darga reminding you that life is a journey. No matter where it takes you, always go where your heart leads you.